Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Bava daf Chav Zayin. We're going to begin on Chav Zayin about Aleph, the second line from the top. Bashor v'kibul b'karnav. Let's say an ox comes, and this is a shor muad, and it gets caught by its horns, and because of that, dies. What is this machlokas? This is regarding the din of kofer. So it says as follows: the sanya, b'nosan pidyon nafshay. It says that you have to pay the value when it comes to kofer, the main nizik, namely, if the person who was killed, we evaluate how much that person is value. Again, that's hard to understand exactly how that's valued and assessed. That's what's done, and that's how you pay. He says, no. You pay demei mazik, the person who's the owner of this shore. So what does this have to do with anything? So Rashi says, Rabbi Shmuel, the Omer Kaifer b'mazik shamin misham kaifer. If you value based on the mazik, then you pay kofer. If in this case we evaluate based on the nizik, the one that was damaged, since his child was thrown from his roof and is going to die, so there's no value in this nizik. So basically, this is based on the Gemara we had in yesterday's daf. If a person would throw a kli off of a roof and it would break it. If a tinnik was thrown off a roof and someone killed this in mid-air, Messiah. So here, if let's say the horns killed this person before he landed. So there, if you would hold demei mazik, so you pay demei mazik. However, according to the Rabbanan, again, because you go busted a nizik, so the nizik was someone who's already going to be dying anyway. So therefore, his value would have been basically zero. So therefore, you don't have to pay kofer in that case. Okay. Yomi Rabbi. Nofim Rosh Agag. It would have been good if it said that case. Now, this is an unbelievable Gemara, but I'm just going to read it. I think this is more academic. Fell from the roof. V'titka b'isha. And somehow, he landed on her, and this was an act of tashmish that took place. So chayv b'dal devarim. In this case, he's chayv in four things. Says Rashi, kigain shenafel baruch mutsuya. Davi karvel mesid. He kind of knew that he was going to fall onto her, and therefore he's karvel mesid. He has to pay all the dal devarim, in addition to nezek, of course. If this was his yavama, can you imagine? So he's not going to be kind to her through having bia in this way. Says Rashi, here he didn't have any kavana. If let's say one of his brothers does mimer with her, then it'll answer him to her, even though he had beer with her. That didn't do anything, it meant nothing. Chai ben nezek, but sarvarip sheves of a boishus low. So when it says dal devarim, I actually didn't say it correctly. It doesn't mean excluding nezek. No, nezek is among the dal devarim, but really it's only 4 total, because you don't pay boishus in that case. Why not? It's only when there's mamash kavana for busha. He fell off a roof and it was unnormal winds. Behizik, and you damaged someone. Ubiesh, and you humiliated them. You're going to be pater b'dal devarim because again it was not karvel mezid. Baruch Matsuya was a normal wind. V'hizik ubiesh chai b'dal devarim upater al boishas. Again, you're still pater because you were not in the schabin. V'im this hape chayiv afal al boishas. But if you flipped over, which means that you had the intention to fall on this person for your benefit. In that situation, you are chayav on boishes, because that's kavanah. The sanya b'mash v'shnemer v'sholchi yada, that she sent out her hand, and yodea shechzika. We obviously understand that she grabbed hold of him. Matam levihichsik v'chzika loymach kivan shenischav lehazik. Once there was an intention to do damage, even though your intention was not to embarrass, you're still chayav. V'yomer Rabbi, question 4. So he says, nischaven lehazik. Once you're nischaven lehazik, even if you're not nischaven levayish, once you have the kavanah to do damage, you're chayav for boishes as well. V'yomer Rabbi, a person put a coal on a person's heart, umeis, and that person died, potter. So you're potter. Shahaya lo salka rashes. He could have removed it. So you have this boiling, burning hot flame, and the guy has his 2 hands available. He could have just removed it. The fact that he allowed it to stay on his chest and he died, you're not going to be chayav misa for that. Obviously, potter of a loss, you're not supposed to do that. You still harm this person. A big day. Let's say you put it on his clothes of nisraf, and it caused him to be burnt up, chayiv. In that situation, you're going to be chayiv, because again, his clothes got on fire. There's nothing you could do about it. You killed him. Both of these things have actually been learned. Alibo, when it comes to you put it on his heart, you're going to be pakdat nan. Kavashalav l'toicha or. Let's say you hold him down onto a fire. Or on water, you put his head, submerge his head under water. So you're a murderer, you killed him. What happens if you pushed him into a fire, could have gotten out of it, he could have gotten out, potter. So in that case, you're potter, because he could have gotten out, just like the coals on his chest, he could have taken it off. Big do tetanan, kares ksusi, tear my garment, shaber's kadi, break my jug, chayiv. You're going to be chayiv, says Rashi. Dehachikamer lay im tirtze kara v'shalim avol pirish lo almanas liftar. So he didn't say do it and you're not going to pay for it. He just said, yeah, go ahead, rip my clothes, but you still have to pay for it, obviously. But if you said almanas liftar, then potter. Boy Rabba, hiniach gachelos alev avdomahu. If you put a gachelos on your servant's heart, what's the din? Kegufu dami, o kekumono dami. Is it like your guf, or is it like moment? It says Rashi, v'im adam gachelos alev avdoi, potter shayil even l'salka. He could have removed it. Or do we say it's like his mamoin, and therefore you'd be chayiv? Im tim solemer kegufu dami, he could have removed it, sharu mahu. What if it comes to an ox? So when it comes to an eved, therefore you're going to be potter. But shor kimamoino, says Rashi, in lo das lo salka v'chayiv. A shor may not understand that all he has to do is remove this gachelas. He may not understand because it doesn't have das like a human being, and therefore in that case you will be chayiv for harming this ox. Okay, question TA 15. Haniach gachelos alev avdoi, alev sharo, al ksus of a nisraf, v'im chayiv madua. That's a lot of stuff. Okay, so so lev avdoi, as we said, is potter. As we said, because he could have simply removed it. So therefore, you're going to be potter when it comes to your eved. Okay. Al leiv shor chayiv she'en lo das l'salkai. As we said, doesn't have das to remove it, which is Rashi. V'al ksuso chayiv the saver aviyase bedina v'yifrli. So if you can say, okay, I'm going to bring you to din, and then you're going to pay for me. So when it comes to the clothes, then you're going to be you would be chayiv. Okay, fine. Hadron aloch ketzad regel, han loch ketzad regel, han loch ketzad regel. Baruch Hashem, we're now in the third parak. Hamniach hasakad, Bershus Rabbi. So we're up to the famous parak of Hamniach hasakad. person leaves a jug in the Rosh Hashanah, and someone walks by and trips over it, v'shavra, and they break your jug, potter. The Gemara is going to explain why, but the person who tripped over and broke your kli, in the Rosh, which happened to be some reason in the Rosh Hashanah, probably didn't belong there, is potter. If this person got damaged, the Gemara is also going to explain why. The Baal HaChavis is chayiv. Now it's interesting. The Mishnah began with the word kad and ends up with a chavis, a barrel. So Gemara picks up on this immediately. Pasta b'kad v'seim b'chavis. Utanan nami. We also see this elsewhere. Zeba b'chavitoi v'zeba b'karasai. One person is coming with a barrel. The other one's coming with a beam. They're like walking near each other, kind of like the peanut butter and chocolate mixing together, making Reese's peanut butter cups. Nishbar kadosh shel zeh b'karasa shel zeh potter. If the jug of one breaks the beam of the other, potter. So we'll have to understand, if one breaks the other, you're potter. Same question. Pasa b'chavis v'siyam b'kad. For some reason, again, why does it just use the same word? Tananami. We learn again much later on regarding this, almost at the end of the Masechta. Zeba b'chavita yishal yayin. This one comes with a barrel of wine. Zeba b'kada yishal dvash. The other one comes with let's just call it a jug of honey. Again, it says the word kad here. Nistika chavish shel dvash or shavach zeh. Let's say the chavish shel dvash is broken, but shavach, and start pouring. Shavach zeh yenu v'hitzalas dvash. So apparently, honey was more expensive than wine, at least back then. So he poured out the wine in order that he should be able to catch the honey. So he dumped out his wine. The wine got lost, but at least he was able to capture the honey, which is more expensive. So he only gets the sachar, the reward. Again, obviously, what Rashi says like this: Kashar poil. Vein bal hadvash mishom demei yayin. He has to pay for the value of the wine. Okay. So again, obviously, this is a Gemara which we're going to see later on, but the same question remains. Pasta b'chad v'seim b'chavius. So Rabba, hainu kad chavius. It's the same thing. So my nafkimina l'mekach hamemcher. The difference has to do with business transactions. Says Rashi, shebiyad hamoicher. It's in the hands of the seller. So he can give whichever one he wants. Even if he says, I want a barrel, it sounds larger. It sounds smaller, it still works. If let's say these words are have different meanings regarding to different vessels, then that doesn't make sense. It's not law. It's not called that. So how could you go against the contract? The stipulation is I wanted a chavis, not a kad. They're two separate things. The majority of people in the city, they call a chavis, and they call kada kada. However, some people also will call a chavis, a barrel, a kada. So the majority of the people are very specific in the language, but there's a minority that kind of uses this interchangeably. So maybe you should go basa roiv and say, no, it has to be exactly as it was said. As we continue to chav zayin mebeis, kamashmal ein holchem b'mamon acharoiv. When it comes to mammon, we don't go basa roiv. Okay. What does that mean? So Rashi said this: Heichen mistafkel on milsa when we're not sure could go in hacha could go in. You sell an ox to your friend. Benimsa nagchan, and it turns out to be a goring ox. Lormin and basaruba zil v'charisha kanu. We don't say we go basar rove and we just assume that it was for plowing, and therefore I don't want this crazy ox around. Vavi tois el oimer hamotz mechavevarayah to prove. Maybe I just wanted to shecht it. Want to shecht it? What's the difference if it's a tam or a muad? So So again, if it breaks, you're potter. So my potter. You may as well understand. Why aren't you paying attention where you're going? So Amri de Be Rab Mishmei de Rab B'mal Rishus Rabin Kol Chavius. This guy took not just one chavius, but he just filled up the entire Rishus Rabim. So he had no choice; he was just going to smash into it. So that's one answer. Shmuel Omer Ba'feilu Shanu. We're talking about this took place in the dark, and therefore it's impossible for you to have seen it, and therefore you shouldn't have put it there. It's a hazard for people. Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Karen Zavis is in a corner. And therefore, even if you can say, well, he should have noticed, but it's in a corner, as soon as he turned a corner, he immediately encountered this this kli, so there was no way he could have prepared himself for it. Okay. Amra Papa lo deka masnisin el o kishmul o Rabbi Yochanan. So apparently we can see either like Shmuel, that's Bafela, or like Rabbi Yochanan, but Karen Zavius. The Ikarav, because if our Mishnah is like Rav, who says that we're talking about a situation that he's filled up the place with chaviyos, so that's true according to him. Ma'iri niskel feel shavarnami. Why is it that like he tripped over it, even if let's say he actually broke it? Right, with maybe some element of intention, but he's potter because he had no choice to go. He had to get through. So the truth is, you're right. According to Rav, even if it was done more deliberately, he would have broken it. But I did tiny niskel. He tripped over it. I did boil misty safe of the husik bal chavius chayev beniskoy. That's the reason we only mention it because the safe of the Mishnah that says that if he got injured, then he's going to be chayiv. Because the davka nisko, it's only if he tripped, avol shavar low. But if you are the one that broke it, you're not going to be, and then you got injured, then it's on you. My timer, hu de'azik anashe, he injured himself. Ketani reisha nisko, that's why it says it that way. Okay. Amr of Abul Ravashi, hachi amri abimarabba. This is what's said in the West, in Eretz Yisrael. Mishmei Rav Ula. Lafish ein darken shel b'nei adam lisboinin b'drachim. Very simple answer. A person is not lisboinin b'drachim. One shouldn't have to anticipate maybe there's all these obstacles in the middle of the road, and therefore that's the reason. Havi uvda b'narda v'chiyav Shmuel v'chiyav Shmuel b'pomadisa v'chiyav Rava. So Bishlam Shmuel. I can understand Shmuel, kishmaite. It's like our sugya, because Shmuel said above, why was he, what happened? He said the case of, it was at night, right? So, which is mashma. Only reason why he's, doesn't have to pay is because he tripped over at night, so it's not his fault. However, if it was broad daylight, says Rashi B'chayev, El Rava, according to Rav, it sounds like he'll take Shmuel. So Amar Rav Papa, Karna di Atzra Havi. This was actually a pressing house by a corner. Kivan de Bershus Ka'avdi, and since it was done Bershus, Iboyle Nuye Umezel, he should have been more careful. So he's chayiv in this particular case, says Rashi. Shemin Hagam Hayukain, Kishahaisa Beis Habad Malaya, when the press is full, people would put their things into a Rishus Harabim. And basically you'd have to wait until the press clears out. In the meanwhile, if you know that there's a press, and this is the custom of what happens, that people fill up the press, and therefore all of a sudden they have to put all their stuff in their barrels outside of it in the Rishus Harabim, so then you should have been more careful, and that's the reason why, yes, you would be chayiv in those cases. 5a. So he says, it could really, again, anything in which people know that there's kalim in this area. Okay. Weiter. Look at this Taisus over here. It says, "Amai patei boile nuye avol hachlo parich amai chai beniskai." We don't ask why you have to pay damages. Kishahuzik boile nuye. The yosi yesh lishmor shlo yazik mishlo yuzak. You have to be more careful that your items don't damage. Okay. Sholch Ein Taisus. Sholch Rav Chistel Rav Nachman. Hari Amru. It said. Lurkuva shalosh, says Rashi, minhag hadayanim. It's the custom of the judges. Ligvois min haboyet es chaveroi bar kavasai. If anyone who kicks his friend by the knee, shall boyet gimel sloyim laboishas. Then you have to pay 3 sloyim because it's embarrassing. Vishi gedoyla boishas makas. Harkuva medechifas hayad. It's more embarrassing getting hit by the by the knee than by being basically slapped with a hand. U'be'ita chamesh. When it comes to kicking with a foot, is 5. Volis noikeres. If you hit someone with a saddle of a donkey, which is even more embarrassing, sholosh esrei. Then you have to pay 13 sloyim. With panda damara, if you hit someone with a shovel of a handle, ula kufina damara. What happens if it's kufina damara? Rashi says a barzel, a hoe which is made out of metal. What's the din? How much would you have to pay in those cases? So shalchlei chista kanasa kamagvis bebavel. Understand? We're not supposed to collect kanas in Bavel. We saw that in the beginning of this Masechta. So why are you saying this? There should be no din at all. So Emily goof for the uv the heche havi. So he said, explain to me what exactly this case regarding the hitting with a shovel handle or a metal hoe. So sholch ledahu gargusa debate tray. Says Rashi, Gargusa is a bor mayim, a cistern, which is mechunasim hashkoy sadais, which is used again to water fields. It belonged to 2 different people. The whole yoima havi dali chad minayu. One of them would be involved in the process of using this cistern. Asachad, one came kodala biyom delay, and he was using this cistern on a day which was not his. Armalei yom dedihu said, "What are you doing? This is my day. You're on the wrong day." They didn't pay attention to him. Shakal panda damara mache. So he took the shovel of a handle and he hit him. Armle meya pande bepanda lemachaye. So the 100 handles he has hit me. Right? He hit him 100 times. So what exactly that mean? It says Rashi kuf hakois hayolo hakoiso. Shari goes to miyomov. He stole his water. Should have hit him 100 times. So this discusses the notion of, can you be a vigilante and take the law in your hands? So where a person is, there's a monetary loss that's happening to you, so then it's clear that you could be done din al-nafshe. This is actually right out of the gate, question TB 16. So this is clear, and it's also 5b. I think it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing as 5b is TB 16. So he said, so he basically took the law in his hands. So that's basically what the case was. Now we get into this whole question, which is going to carry us into the next daf. Rabbi Yehuda Omer lo avad inish din l'nafshe. Rav Nachman Omer avad inish din l'nafshe. Can you take the law in your own hands? Okay. So we just said, if they're causing you a financial loss, then you certainly are allowed to take the matter into your own hands. Okay. And Rashi says, because if you go to Beis Din, maybe the water will be gone, etc. There's no loss. Since there's no loss, you should just go to the Beis Din, and the Beis Din will take care of it. Rav Nachman, you can still take care of business yourself. Because this is what the Beis Din would have done. So what's the reason for bimatriach in a Beis Din? Meisiv Rav Kahana Ben Bagba Goimer, he says, Al techanes l'chatza chavercha. Do not enter into your friend's courtyard. Litel eshelcha, to take that which is yours. Shlober shus, even though it's yours. Why not? Shema teiroi love kiganav, because people are going to think you're a ganav, even though you're not, because you're just taking which is yours. But if you go into someone else's property without permission, then it looks like you're a thief. El shavor es shinav, break his teeth, ve'emrlo shali ani naitel, and say, this is mine. So what does it mean? Break his teeth. Says Rashi Kleimer, kach b'chazaka, take it with strength. The Kash Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says, well, it sounds like you could forcefully take care of it and say, this is mine, this is mine. But you don't have to take him to court. Normally, as we continue Chav Chesam and Aleph, no. It means imach, with you, ben bagbag yichidahu. So he says, this is hard to understand. Imach ben bagbag yichidahu. The Plig Rabbanale and the Rabbanan disagree. Okay. It says Rashi, you think this is a good answer? No, this is not proper. Okay. Rav Yana Yomer, my shvorashina, different answer. What does it mean, break teeth? Badin, break his teeth in court. Take him to court. Yachi ve'emrulo, let me the emrulo. Ve'oimrulo, the base will speak to him beboile. Shaliani naital. Shalohu naital. Not mine, but the base will say shalohu naital. You're taking his. So kasha, that taka is a kasha based on the lashon. But again, it may not necessarily be a raya whether a person could take the law into his own hands. Ad kan.